All right, and I think we are live. Welcome in. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every night, y'all. Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the follow button on TikTok. Do all of the things for me. I appreciate it so very much. And let's jump into this one, y'all. So Jake Haro, we've been talking about Emmanuel Haro quite a bit. And I saw that Vinny Politan did a video about it, talking about, did Jake Haro confess? So let's jump in. Let's check this out. Let's see what's going on. Here we go.
I'm Vinny Politan. The subject of my investigation is the tragic disappearance of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro, whose parents reported him abducted, but now mom and dad are locked up, and now we're hearing from them behind bars. Here's the story. The disappearance of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro in Riverside County, California, has shaken the community to its core. It all began when his parents, Rebecca and Jake, pleaded for help, claiming Emmanuel was abducted by a man who said hola and knocked out Rebecca.
Too bad that didn't happen, huh, Rebecca?
But as investigators dug deeper, troubling contradictions surfaced, unraveling a chilling reality. Authorities believe Emmanuel's parents, the very people meant to nurture and protect him, are responsible for his disappearance and death. Now, the search for Emmanuel has become a desperate mission fueled by both hope and grief. A child so young, so vulnerable, ripped from safety under the most unthinkable circumstances. And prosecutors say it was his own mother and father who are responsible for this horrific act. Now, during the course of this story and this investigation, there's been several points and things that have happened along the way that have dramatically changed the way we've looked at this case and we've looked at this investigation. One of the biggest was the arrest of Jake and Rebecca.
The mom and dad.
The mother and father. Remember, this began as a missing person, an abduction, but at this moment it was clear that investigators and prosecutors no longer believed that this was an abduction. They took Jake and Rebecca into custody at their home. Big sign of strength. You can see the officers showing up, then a search, etc. And they're charged with murder. Murder.
Kind of a big deal.
I want you to take a listen to the district attorney. This was another big moment here, the first time that the DA spoke about the case. Here's what he said about the charges.
The filing in this case reflects our belief that baby Emmanuel was abused, a victim of child abuse over time, and that eventually, because of that abuse, he succumbed to those injuries. And that's what we believe. We filed murder charges on both of them and making a false police report on both of them. So you can extrapolate that we believe that both of them are guilty, that we can prove it's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt for both the murder and the filing of the false police report. You know, how it breaks down as to who did what, that also has to wait for the trial.
Okay, and you heard, you know, he wasn't going to give us the specifics on what they believe happened. But remember, they still have not found baby Emmanuel. So I'm looking at this, I'm listening to this, and from the beginning, murder, 2 adults together murdering a 7-month-old?
Unthinkable.
But that's the theory that prosecutors have. And it brings us to the first question in our investigation. 2 defendants, co-defendants. Is one of baby Emmanuel's parents more responsible than the other? Maybe not legally responsible, but more responsible for the violence, more responsible for the death, even if they've both had some hand in it, or maybe not. Maybe there is a huge difference between the two. Let's try to answer that question. Here to help us in our investigation, private investigator, founder of Victims News Online and host of the all-new podcast, the Delphi Dirt. Erica Morse is with us, and former homicide detective with more than 20 years working homicides and high-profile cases. Phil Waters is with us as well. All right, Erica Morse, before I've got some things to point out here, but before we get to them, what does your gut tell you? What does your gut tell you about a 7-month-old?
I mean, probably the same thing that all of ours is telling us, that the story that they made up is ridiculous, or that she made up is ridiculous, and that sick pile of garbage is responsible. Allegedly, right? I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think in the comments. Y'all think they did it? You think he was kidnapped? You think it was an accident, or he was kidnapped? Or do you think that they're responsible? Put a thumbs up in the chat if you think that they're responsible. Put a thumbs down if no, there's something else. There's something else going on.
Adults charged with murdering a 7-month-old. Is one more responsible than the other?
I don't know. I mean, is one more responsible for the other for the abuse? Probably, because dad already has a criminal history of abuse. Dad has already taken charges and received a conviction, even
That's a lot of thumbs up in the chats.
though he didn't serve time in prison, which is why Emmanuel is missing and presumed deceased at this point. Mom, I mean, as a mom, from a moral obligation, I just can't. She is the one who was allegedly last with the baby. She is the one who concocted this story, or at least reported this story. She is the one that wasted resources and valuable time in locating a possible living, breathing Emmanuel.
Right.
They have their own levels of culpability from a human standpoint, a moral standpoint, and then your legal/criminal standpoint.
Yeah.
All right. Phil Waters, I want to put up on the screen what mom and dad have been saying behind bars. Jailhouse interview with Rebecca Haro from the Press Enterprise. I will not give up. I will not give up on my baby, Haro said in an August 24th.
You already did.
Jailhouse interview with a Southern California news group reporter, during which she maintained that Emmanuel was kidnapped. Regarding her husband,
Thanks, Carol.
Jake, he's a good dad, Rebecca Haro said. He would never hurt a baby. Now, here's an interview with Jake Haro, with a Southern California news group reporter in the Orange County Register. Rebecca is innocent, Haro said. The media is killing her. She is a beautiful woman. She loves her children. Haro was hopeful on Wednesday that enough money could be raised, generally 10% of the bail, to free Rebecca, who he wed 3 years ago. All right, what are your thoughts?
What?
Phil, about what mom's saying about dad, dad saying about mom, and what happened here to little Emmanuel?
Well, good to be back with you, Vinny, on this case. I tell you, they're just furthering the false narrative here. They don't really have, I'm sure in their mind, they don't have any other option. I would say that I'm not surprised at the arrest. I think the
Do you look at them the same? Do you see them the same?
Yes, that's the short answer. Yes, they're both culpable. They're both going to be responsible, and even they're both parties to the murder of this little baby. I mean, that's the bottom line here. So that's why they're both being charged. Now, there may come a point in time where they're going to try to get one to turn on the other. But they're both going to be held responsible because they are both, at least in my opinion, based on what we know, they are equally culpable in the murder of this baby.
All right, I want to put up a little more that Jake Haro is saying from behind bars. Interview with Southern California news group reporter in the Orange County Register. Jake Haro said in a jailhouse interview on Wednesday,
apparently
August 27th, that Riverside County District Attorney Mike Hestron's assertion that Haro's missing 7-month-old son was the victim of long-term abuse was not true at all. But Haro declined to discuss what role, if any, he played in Emmanuel's disappearance. During the 45-minute interview, he said the couple cares about Emmanuel. So he's saying it's not long-term. Well, none of this could be long-term abuse. The baby's only 7 months old, right? I mean, long-term, I guess, is all relative to what happened here. The first baby that was abused was only 10 weeks old. So what do you think, Erica, about what Jake is saying and denying the long-term abuse, but then sort of stopping short at that point?
Well, let's first.
Y'all, apparently my camera just decided to stop working. So I'm going to let it keep playing, but I'm going to try to fix it.
And is saying he is wasting their time. He's doing it intentionally. I believe it's a game to him. I really do. I think that this baby is sadly long gone. And I think that these are the most despicable and heartbreaking cases for everyone associated to have to deal with. If this couple did not want to be parents, then they had options, and that baby could be alive right now. I don't really care what he says because I don't believe him. I'm focused on what mom is saying. I'm focused on the story. Let me give you an example. Why did they come up with this elaborate story about this baby being taken in a parking lot? I was talking with a colleague about this case, and she indicated, as a search and rescue expert, that perhaps mom's goal was to divert police away from the residents because dad has made allegedly some confessions about burying the baby.
Ooh. We never thought about, or I never thought about that, y'all. Maybe she made up the whole thing about the kidnapping to just get the police away from the house. But wouldn't the police start at the house? Wouldn't the police start at the house?
Be in, putting the baby in a trash can at the residence, burying him in a place that is near and dear to dad. So I think it's a fascinating viewpoint that perhaps mom's story is perfectly calculated to throw off the search, and dad going on that search and wasting their time tells me that neither one of these parents, these sperm donors, give a damn about this baby.
Damn.
Phil, I want to show you an image that we talked about a lot before the arrest, but I think it may be relevant. I'm a former prosecutor. I'm always thinking about inside the courtroom, where is that finger of doubt going to be pointed? And I think in the case of Rebecca, it may be pointed right at her black eye. As an investigator in this case, are you interested into where she got that black eye from? Now, I think a lot of us, when she was saying abduction, were saying, oh, is this part of that whole deal? I'm thinking ahead to the trial that, oh, maybe she's going to allege being the victim of abuse inside that house.
Well, we don't know what we don't know, right? So I would say if I'm a detective doing this interview with her, the first question I'm going to ask her is, where did you get the black eye? Where'd you get the shiner? And have her explain that to me and have a discussion about that. I'm going to first establish a relationship with her that's not, we're not going to jump right into the baby, this and that. So that's the first thing I want her to explain to me. And is it part of the kidnapping, or is this something that perhaps her loving husband administered in the course of a fight, perhaps over the baby? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here about what could have happened. So yeah, the shiner, that's the first question on the list.
Yeah, I think we may hear more about it. Okay, great news. Guests are staying with us. Coming up next, Did Jake Haro confess?
We come to you guys asking you to help us find our son. He was abducted last night from Big Five. Somebody struck my wife while she was trying to change his diaper.
Soon to Court TV.
Just to ask you guys if you can help us, you know. This is what he looks like.
It's the fake tears, y'all. It's the fake tears. It's the but no tears on the eyeballs. No tears in the eyeballs. It just drives me nuts.
It's just a baby. Let's give our son back, please.
Missing kid. That's what it said. It said missing kid on that flyer.
Yes, diaper.
Okay.
Right?
Some interesting reporting in this case, and
It's like everything he says is like nails on a chalkboard.
I want to put this up. This is from Brian Enton. Any of you following true crime know Brian Enton, incredible investigative reporter for News Nation. This is what he reported. Sources have told News Nation's Brian Enton that Jake Haro, the boy's father, spoke to an informant while in jail as part of a Perkins operation. Haro acknowledged he killed baby Emmanuel and put his body in the trash. Sources also told Enton that Haro initially told investigators he rolled over in bed, causing baby Emmanuel's death, and that he said he buried the body. Sources say that is why Haro was taken from jail to lead investigators to a search area over the weekend. So that was the reporting, a lot of buzz about that, so much so that when the DA finally spoke at the press conference, he was asked about this confession. Take a listen.
Did you move this work like over from the house? The jail confession, the authorities used fake inmate information and the father to fast dad.
Well, see, that's not true. So I don't know where you, well, no. See, this is what happens when you've got all these folks out there online and these keyboard warriors. You get a lot of misinformation. And what you just said is not true. It's misinformation. So that's what I'll tell you did not happen.
Okay, he's saying it didn't happen. The sheriff said it didn't happen. But after that news conference, Brian Enton responded on his YouTube channel. Brian Enton Investigates.
So I just want you guys to know that I am standing by my reporting. I talked to my sources again, and I realized that the district attorney said that there was no confession from Jake Haro, baby Emmanuel's dad. But I don't know what his definition legally of a confession is. That may be different, you know, but I'm standing by everything that I reported in my video.
All right.
Wow.
Brian Enton has a track history of being extremely...
By the way, TikTok, if you're new here, hit the follow button. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, we're live every day, so much, basically all day, every day. So welcome in, hit the follow button. We're talking about Emmanuel Haro right now. His dad, well, like the lady said, sperm donor, Jake Haro. We're also live on the Red platform. So make sure you guys go. It's right here. Sub to it's the Mystery Project. See it in the middle screen, the Mystery Project on YT. That's the name of the channel over there. Do me a favor, go subscribe to that page as well. And let's keep going, shall we? And if you're watching over there on YT, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up for me. Let's get 50 likes over there. Come on, y'all.
Accurate, extremely thorough, and not like, you know, willy-nilly just throwing things out there. But there was a denial that it was misinformation. And that brings us to the next question in our investigation.
That part.
Did Jake Haro confess? What's going on?
We'll find out. Steph, I've been here. TikTok just never does anything for creators anymore. It's so bad.
Here, still with us.
That's why I say make sure you follow on the YT and hit the little bell so that you always know when I go live. Because at least over there, you'll get a notification and you can watch it here or there. Stacy, thank you for that. Misty, thank you. Becky, thank you. Thanks for all the gifts, y'all. You don't have to do that, but I appreciate it.
Investigator Erica Morris, former homicide detective Phil Waters. So this was the so-called Perkins operation is what Brian Enton was talking about, where Apparently, you put a fake inmate inside who's working as sort of an agent of law enforcement to try to get the defendant to talk. Let me ask you, Phil, would it be possible that the confession happens, it's obtained in a way that it would not be permissible at trial, right? For whatever reason, something that they know is just on its face, violated some right that the defendant had, and no judge would allow it in, that you would just deny it and say it never happened because you don't want to be accused of prejudicing the jury pool by saying that, oh yeah, there was a confession, but we got it illegally. Instead, you just say it never happened.
Got it illegally, but if he's saying it in prison to another inmate, you have no expectation of privacy in prison. So how would that be illegally? Misty, thank you. Mimi210, thank you.
Well, I will tell you, in Texas,
And thanks for the follows.
if
Barb.
and I had talked about
Margie,
doing something
Charles.
like this at some point in time early on in my career, and I was quickly schooled that if we put a Confederate inside the jail for the purpose of approaching our suspect to elicit a confession from them, the problem is they are, as you already stated, they are an agent of the state. And in that capacity, he's in custody.
Hey,
He
Lex,
would
thanks for the
have
follow.
that Confederate would have to read the suspect his Miranda warning, make sure that he understood it, and then ask him if he is going to waive those rights to have this discussion.
What the hell?
I would be surprised if that's what happened here,
How does that make any sense?
because it would be
You got to jump through all those hoops to get somebody to confess to doing something. Meanwhile, he's convicted of doing something to his daughter, that put her permanently bedridden, and he gets out with a commuted sentence. So you got to jump through hoops to get them locked up or to get any kind of charges. And then when they get the charges, then it's like, oh, well, don't do it again. That is nuts.
it would be useless, as you've already
Mama
said.
Bear,
It would be
thanks for
something that
subscribing
couldn't
on the
even be
YT.
used. It would be nice to know information, but in effect, it could not be used in any kind of a court proceeding. So I wonder if what we're talking about here, that he has made some admissions to some things, which are a stark difference from a confession. So I know that in the course of my interviews, when I got admissions, then I'm getting closer to a confession. So he may be parsing words here that, yeah, there was no confession taken. And what actually occurred was there were some admissions to certain parts of this investigation. And that's what got them to the point where they were able to have enough probable cause to get the arrest warrants. And, you know, when the arrests happen, you know, being a former prosecutor, Vinny, that that's where the investigation really starts.
And the other part is, if it is obtained illegally and inadmissible, so would anything that results from it. So if that happened and that was the reason they were out there and they found evidence like baby Emmanuel, that evidence might not be admissible. They call it the fruit of the poisonous tree.
Poison tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But and Erica, what makes me really think about this.
That doesn't make any sense why we had to jump through so many hoops for these maniacs.
Confession is there was another reporter from On the Tira, Ahmed Belozo. You may have seen him. He's like a citizen journalist out there. He too was reporting that his sources, and he only works in that area, also said that there was a confession. So what are your thoughts about whether or not there was a confession here, Erica?
First of all, I believe Brian's reporting. I've been following his reporting on this case, and I believe that his sources are giving him credible information. I'll say it like that. Now, if you recall, Vinny, I sat through a particular trial last year in Delphi, Indiana, where inmates were allowed to testify about things they had written down on pieces of paper when they had tossed questions back and forth to a particular inmate.
Right? I mean, seriously.
Who was awaiting
This is nuts.
trial. And every single one
Steph
of
Case Files, what's up? Good to see you.
those
Y'all make sure you follow Steph Case Files. She's awesome.
statements was somehow admissible in that trial. So I think we are splitting hairs here. I think we're getting into semantics and technicalities. You don't take an inmate who has just been charged with murdering his 7-month-old son out of the jail onto a field trip. You take him to a location to give you evidence.
You take him to a volcano and throw him in.
And potentially a body. What I think is happening, and the DA has alluded to this several times, and he's actually said it outright. He's tired of the
Thanks for the
keyboard
follows.
warriors.
Megan,
He's
thank you.
tired of people going out and potentially affecting the crime scene by launching their own unregulated and untrained and uncertified searches. We may have dogs out there that are being misused in this case. All of those things. Internet trolls, let me tell you,
Dear Lord. Oh, Steph Case Files, thank you.
can harm a case. Vinny, I mean, you know, Erica Morse knows a little bit about internet trolls hurting cases. So if I were this DA and I'm protecting the integrity of an investigation and trying to find a missing 7-month-old baby, I'm a lie.
Erica Morse, Phil Waters, great to have you. Thanks so much. Up next, why was Jake Haro at the search?
Let's find out. Check this out, y'all. Boop.
7-month-old baby. I'm Vinny
Boom.
Politan. We continue our investigation of the disappearance of 7-month-old baby Emmanuel Haro. His parents said he was taken by a stranger, but now his mom and dad are charged with murder, and the search for this angel continues.
Thanks for sharing the live,
Here's
Steph.
the story. Rebecca and Jake Haro have several children. The youngest is just 7 months old. His name is Emmanuel, and he is missing. Emmanuel's mom says she knows what happened. She was in the parking lot of a Big 5 sporting goods store and was trying to change
For
the
real,
baby's
Connie.
diaper.
That's a good idea.
That's when she says she was attacked by a man who said hola and then knocked her out cold. When Rebecca came to,
Man, you... You're gonna have to say hola to Jesus, lady. Coming up with some crazy shit like that.
Emmanuel was nowhere to be found. Investigators questioned Rebecca and confronted her about inconsistencies in her story. Meanwhile, Emmanuel's father, Jake, has a violent criminal history involving another baby, a 10-week-old who will never walk because of Jake's criminal actions. He was convicted for child cruelty
Disgusting.
taking place back in 2018. Rebecca and Jake have been arrested and taken into custody, charged with the murder of this little angel. And the community now left wondering, why and how would anyone do such a horrible thing to
For real,
such an
though.
innocent baby boy?
Because they're sick.
So during the course of this case and following this story and this investigation, perhaps the most confusing and maybe most important, even though it's again confusing, was the search that was done on Sunday, August 24th. In the afternoon, a search that was done in the Moreno Valley off of the 60. Let's take a look at some video so you can kind of see the area that we're talking. There's the 60 freeway, and then that little pathway leading off there is where this search was taking place on Sunday afternoon. You see some of the cars pulled over on the side there. A lot of them are investigators. Some are members of the media. But this is the geography. This is the location that we're talking about. Now, let's take a look at who was involved in this search. It wasn't one or two people. There were a series of folks who walked down that pathway from the freeway into the brush, and they're all there. Somewhat of a grid-like search, not exactly, but sort of. They all have their areas. They're walking and they're looking, but they're spread out. They're not in one specific area. But there was one person who was in one specific area. Jake Haro. There he is with two detectives.
Yeah, see?
And he's not pointing at anything. He's not leading anyone anywhere. But he seems to be having a conversation standing there in his jumpsuit. Remember, he's in custody, already charged with the murder at this point.
Exactly.
So there he is. Doesn't seem to be actively part of the search because he's not where all those other folks are. He's much closer to the road. And then he turns around and goes back before.
The only problem, too, is that this dude's a liar. You know what I mean? This dude is a liar. He is a piece of garbage. He is a liar. You cannot believe anything he says. He's only going to look out for himself. He's only going to say things that benefit himself. And there's no point in even talking about it. Throw him in jail. Like, don't. He should have already. Literally said it at the beginning of this video that or it wasn't this video. It was actually another video we were watching earlier. If the DA had filed the proper charges the first go with the daughter, he would have had life with the possibility of parole. So he would have been in prison. He'd still be in prison. So, I mean, people like this, that's where they belong. Like, there's just no way around it. Stop coming up with this stupid ass creative justice and all this dumb sounding shit like that. We need to rethink the No. You need to take evil people and you need to lock them away from society. He made the choice. He made his own choice. Why the hell would he get any sympathy? Why would he get any mercy or any, lighter sentence? No. Are you crazy? Lighter sentence? Dear God. It's already, we're already going to have to pay to feed him until he dies now with our tax dollars from this, if he's guilty. But dear God, this shit is so annoying. Criminals belong in prison, okay? They do. It doesn't matter what you say, they belong in prison. And the worst part is, everybody knows that. Even the people who say they don't, they know that. Everybody knows it. Bad people deserve to be in prison. That's what they're there for. Build more prisons. We can't house them all. Build more prisons. Do it. I'm totally fine with that. Build as many. Find out how many people there are that need to be in prison and build that many prisons.
Or the search is over.
Thumbs up in the chat if you agree. Thumbs up in the chat if you agree. By the way, TikTok, thank you for all of the follows. Thank you for the likes. Hit the follow button if you're new here. Make sure you guys share the stream out for me too. Let people know that we're live. What is it? You have to type FYP in the chat. Hashtag FYP to get people to come in. Do all the things that you got to do. Same thing over on the YT, y'all. Share the stream out. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up for me. We're getting close to 50 likes over there. So, y'all, if you're watching over on the YT, hit the thumbs up for me. And TikTok, if you want to, make sure you come over. See it right here. It says sub to the Mystery Project on YT. That's my YouTube channel, Mystery Project. You definitely should come on over. Sarah, thank you for that. All right, let's keep going.
He's brought back. Very confusing. Obviously, the initial reporting was very hopeful. Oh my goodness, this is it. This is the moment, right?
That's what we hope.
But it wasn't. Emmanuel wasn't found.
Ugh.
But he was there, the dad. And that brings us to the next question in our investigation. Why was Jake Haro at this search? Why was he there?
True.
Here to help answer that question, crime scene investigator Lisa Black and retired FBI special agent, 20 years of experience executing searches, Bobby Chacon. Welcome to you both. Before we start the discussion, I want to play what the DA and sheriff said about Jake Haro, because it's the first time they're speaking publicly about it. Take a listen.
We have a pretty strong indication of where the remains of baby Emmanuel are. So that investigation is ongoing at this time. Yes, go ahead.
Matt Johnson, Court TV. What was the information that led to the initial search off the 60 in Moreno Valley?
Sheriff, you want to take that?
I'm not going to go into grave detail about.
At least that DA looks like he's not trying to give him, he's trying to put the monster in jail. He's trying to put that dude in prison for the rest of his life.
About that, but there is some level of cooperation with the suspects involved in this, and we're trying to locate that, and our job is to follow every lead. But for the rest of the room here, we have to understand what you're dealing with is an experienced child abuser that is aware of a previous case, that is aware,
AKA piece of shit,
of evidentiary things that we are certainly concerned with. So we're going to take every step to not only work with any suspect or witness involved in this, because at the end of the day, we have to bring a case to Mike and they have to charge it. And we have to make sure that every single thing, no matter what is told to us or what we discover in terms of evidence, is the right thing, and that we follow it up extensively.
All right, Bobby, what are your thoughts here? Why was Jake Haro at the scene?
Well, I mean, my thoughts is that somebody told him where approximately they put the baby. Because if it was him saying, I put the baby here, you would have seen them, as we often have, lead them right to a spot. And he would have pointed to a ground. He would have pointed to where he drove in, where he parked, where he...
Oh, so it could be somebody. It could be the mom. Could be... I'm hearing a lot of things about family members. Have you guys heard about that? Have you heard about some of these family members?
Drag the body, whatever. The fact that he didn't do any of that seems to me, and this is just conjecture on my part, but it seems to me that somebody told him, hey, I put the kid out by the Gilman Springs Road. And by the way, I drove by that place 12 hours before this. The night before, Saturday night, I drove right by it to go home. I live right by that area. And so I saw police and fire the night before protecting that area. There was no fire. There was no brush fire. There was no accident. They were there to protect that area the night before. And so it tells me that he didn't know exactly where, but he was working on information that may have been told to him. Who told him that? That's up to speculation, but I'm speculating that he did not know exactly where, but he said, this is where they, whoever that was, told me they had put the body.
Bobby, that's the first time I've heard that they were actually there the night before. Next time, please, a little video, send it to me. You've got my email. You can text it to me. All right, Lisa, I want to read this because Jake Haro, speaking from behind bars, an interview with a Southern California news group,
like he said, it's
reporter in the Orange County Register. Haro would not say whether he led authorities to the Moreno Valley Badlands on Sunday, August 24th, where he was spotted with investigators. He did say he has been completely cooperative with investigators. Lisa, why do you think he was at the search now with the additional information coming from Bobby Chacon that the night before they had it sealed off?
Well, I don't think it's that odd that he was there. As the searches I've seen with suspects, you usually have the suspect right there with you, because if you do find something, I imagine investigators want to confront them right away. And it's a big area, so it's really handy if you're hoping he's going to be telling you the truth, that he could be right there on scene saying, no, it wasn't that hill, it was the hill just beyond it, or something like that. So I don't see that there's anything that unusual about this entire process. He might have been, you would assume, he was dumping the body at night, and everything looks different at night. I mean, it's a vague hillside. He could be in completely the wrong place, and he could be lying. And
that part.
What?
Even though
a
he's
convicted baby abuser lying?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said at the beginning. What? No way. Him lying?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, could be, you know, even if he has confessed or whatever, then in his mind, he might be thinking, you know, as long as they don't find a body, then they can't really charge me. Criminals are not smart. They really aren't. And so you really don't know what's going on in his head. But I don't think it was that odd for him to be on the scene.
All right, I want to put a map up so you can see where the area searched is and where the parents' house is. What I don't have on the map is Bobby's home. We're going to keep that off of this map, but about a 23-minute drive or so from the parents' house to the search area. Bobby, the other thing that was said at the press conference was he mentioned, you know, the suspects have given some level of cooperation when talking about this, but it's just Jake that's there, not Rebecca. Is there any significance to that fact?
Well, I mean, first, just let me tell you, I didn't know that's why they were there the night before. I didn't realize the importance of it until the next day when it was reported that he was out there with them. I just assumed that it was a brush fire or an accident. My wife was driving. I looked. I didn't see any brush fire or accident. The next day, I said, oh, my God, they have that guy out there. That's what we saw the night before. But the significance of the cooperation is clearly he's cooperating because he's out there. Look, they can't force him to leave the jail and go with them out to that field. He has to cooperate. He has to agree to do that. He's a defendant.
Right.
He can not say anything and stay in his cell until the trial starts and let them prove beyond a reasonable doubt his guilt. So he's obviously cooperating. Now, could he be lying? Have defendants put the police on a wild goose chase? Of course, we've all seen that. But there is that's why it's some level of cooperation just by him agreeing to leave the jail with them and take them to this area. What they're basing that on, what he actually told them, we don't know. Why he's not pointing to certain locations, as we've seen other defendants say, here it is, I was over there. And if he thought it was a hill, you don't even see him looking around to orient himself as if he was there before.
That's true.
It's a very odd behavior that I haven't seen in previous. Of course, we've all seen defendants taken out to these locations, but there's usually a little more involvement of the defendant when they're on scene. Here, his involvement seemed very minimal. He wasn't pointing, he wasn't walking. It was very odd to me, his involvement at the scene.
All right.
That is so true.
Guests are staying with us. Still to come. Will investigators ever find baby Emmanuel?
When the Queen comes out, coverage is the Captive Challenge TV. We're here to get justice. We're here to speak for Emmanuel because he wasn't able to speak for himself. So we're here, we have his back, and we're ready to go. We're ready to fight. We're going to fight tooth and nail. We're going to get justice for Emmanuel.
The local community very invested in this case,
I mean, that's everybody.
Well as the community online very invested in this case. Justice for baby Emmanuel. And it begins, I think, with finding baby Emmanuel. Take a listen to what investigators are saying about the search, because it's a little confusing to me.
Yeah, we have agencies from all across Southern California searching for missing baby Emmanuel, which has now turned into a recovery effort. The search for the baby led them to Moreno Valley, and that is a remote area, and it was a robust search. Jake Haro, a murder suspect now, out there with the investigators and the cadaver dogs.
Crazy.
There's some level of cooperation with the suspects involved in this, and we're trying to locate that, and our job is to follow every lead.
I think Sheriff Dyke has already explained that. He answered that question by saying there's been a level of cooperation with the defendants, so that's why they went to that area.
Authorities telling us that they did not recover any remains, but they are desperately searching for this baby.
We have a pretty strong indication of where the remains of baby Emmanuel are, so that investigation is ongoing at this time. I didn't say that, sir. I didn't say I know where the remains are. I can't share with you anything. Look, there are professionals that are looking for the remains of this child. If the public has any information, then we ask for their help. So we don't know exactly where the remains are. We have some ideas in terms of where we're going to look and where we're going to continue to investigate.
Do we know if they searched the following morning? Did they go back?
We were there that following day, and we didn't see anyone searching. And then I followed up with the lead investigator here at the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office. They got back to me. They said that they did not search the following day.
Fascinating. Why you wouldn't go back?
Yeah, why not?
That's interesting. It is. We have a good idea. We have some level of cooperation. We know, we don't know. That brings us to the next question in our investigation. Will investigators ever find baby Emmanuel? I think that's where we are right now. Here to help, crime scene investigator Lisa Black and retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. Lisa, what do you think? Will they?
I think it's a good chance. It depends on a lot of different
God
factors.
willing.
I mean, if he's being remotely truthful about where he put the baby, then cadaver dogs are probably going to be your best friends. If he's totally lying and the baby is in another direction entirely, then you're going to be relying on a lot of luck.
Bobby, you know the area. You've been in so many
it's so
search
sad.
efforts through the years. What are your thoughts here? Will they ever find baby Emmanuel?
I think they'll only find baby Emmanuel if they get full and truthful cooperation from the person who disposed of the body. I think that this geographic location is so vast and the body was so small, unless they're told, and I think Lisa's right, unless they're told, then it's just going to be luck. It's going to be a hiker, hunter, jogger, somebody possibly coming across the body. But that's such a...
That is so sad. That is so sad, y'all.
Remote possibility in this type of terrain that they would have to have an enormous amount of luck unless they get cooperation from the person who disposed of this tiny little baby.
Yeah. You know, Lisa, what are your thoughts about the clock ticking here, right? Because it gets hot there. There's animals, etc. They have given us a time range of as early as August 5th. They believe this baby may have been murdered. And I mean, each day that goes by, what are your thoughts about if there is a recovery, what they'll be able to recover?
That is a problem. You hate to put it in these terms, but especially if he left the baby, just left it there on the ground. Yes, between the heat, it could have already be largely down to a skeleton with the different, you are talking about a very small child, not a full-grown person. So animals could scatter it. On the other hand, if it's wrapped up in, a blanket or a sheet or even a plastic bag, if it's buried, then it may remain somewhat intact. And again, hopefully if it's not buried too deep, cadaver dogs will help you a lot. So what
sad.
condition the body will be in at this point, you can see a huge variation depending on the circumstances of how it was left.
All right, I want to take a listen to the Riverside County DA one more time.
Unbelievable.
When you have members of the public that are out there doing their own searches, all it does is potentially prejudice and damage the case. So please, let the sheriff's departments do their job. They know how to do this, right? We're helping with them, anything they need from us, but they are the ones driving this investigation, and they will track down every lead. I have all the confidence in both of these great sheriffs and their great departments.
All right, Bobby, a lot of pride out there with the Riverside Sheriff and the San Bernardino Sheriff working in conjunction together. Talked about 9,000 people working potentially on the case.
Wow.
Are you surprised, or should the FBI be involved in this search as well at this point?
No, I mean, what the FBI does best is throw people downrange, throw a lot of resources at something. Right now, I think this is a very small case. It's one one victim. It's a, you know, the geographic area is great, but they really don't have an idea of where this baby might be. So, you know, if they needed more manpower or more resources, but these are vast counties, and I live in Riverside and San Bernardino, our neighboring county. You know, they have resources. They have helicopters. They work in this terrain all the time. They find missing hikers and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. By the way, TikTok, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up for me. Sorry. TikTok, hit the follow button for me. If you're new here, my name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every single day. If you're on the YT platform, do the same thing, y'all. Hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, do all the things. I appreciate the love. Thanks for all the follows, you guys. This one's almost over, but let's keep going.
That they rescue people all the time in this terrain, so they have the expertise in this area. And so if they have enough information to go on, but you know, you have to narrow down the search area. You have to have some type of reliable information to put you in an area. These two counties are vast and the terrain is difficult. And so, you know, you have to have a pretty good idea of where to look, or else you're just poking around in the dark.
All right, we only have about 25 seconds left here, Lisa. Are you surprised that they didn't go back the next day? It was a search on Sunday,
Matt,
and they never went back.
Well, it's impossible to tell what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, they could be getting a totally different story from the wife. They could have realized, or for some reason figured out, that he's totally lying about this and that the baby's not anywhere near there. You don't know what's going on that we don't know about.
Lisa Black, Bobby Chacon, great to have you here. Thank you both so much.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure, if you're on YT, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up for me. TikTok, hit the follow button. Come over to the YT, the Mystery Project. That's the name of the channel there. It should be right here on the screen, y'all. The Mystery Project.